Hey, you guys, it is I, the Psy, and I got a silence quickie here for you. Want to do a little bit of deck tech about one of the most frustrating matches that you can have, and that is Wands Out, which is magic only, the Immortalis mirror, and some of the strategies that I developed to kind of try and break that mirror. And there's one Rebellion card in particular that has really done a great job, and we'll talk about that coming up soon. But first off, why is Immortalis amazing for Wands Out? It's pretty obvious. He gives every single one of your cards void, which effectively cuts the damage down by half. He's amazing. That's why normally you're going to end up in a mirror whenever green is available, or earth, I guess I should say, is available for Wands Out. The -1 health is obviously just nice, and the shatter, I mean, it's fine because of Runemaster Flores, who we're going to talk about as one of the heavy hitters. So first, I want to talk about like the main builds. There's three cards in particular that you're pretty much always going to run into when you're facing the Immortalis mirror, and when you're also playing as Immortalis, right? These three are pretty much auto includes whenever you can. And the first one, of course, is going to be, we just talked about her, is Runemaster Flores. Why Runemaster Flores? Well, because she actually has, let's get her looking good here, because she's actually got a really nice ranged attack. So if you know that you're going to be facing a mirror and you've got ranged damage, suddenly that void doesn't do much against the ranged. So Runemaster Flores, even though she's high at 13, you almost always want to squeeze her in there because most of your damage is going to be done by this 4 ranged attack. So she's one of the 3. The second one is probably the MVP and the one that makes this match so frustrating, and that is going to be, where are you, my little friend? The Goblin Psychic. So Goblin Psychic is pretty much perfect for when you're talking about a Wands Out. It's gone ahead, it's got Silence, which is great. It's got Heal for your tank, and it's got Afflict to try and stop your opposing Goblin Psychic from being able to heal your tank. So oftentimes it's going to come down to who lands Afflict first to stop their Goblin Psychic from using Heal on the tank that you're trying to defeat. And so he's the one too that if you try and hide him somewhere, because there's not a lot of sneak that exists within those matches, you'll get that silence to last for a good long time. And then of course you got everyone's good buddy here. What kind of a story would it be if we weren't talking about Dr. Blight, who, while he himself doesn't do a lot of damage because the 2 magic is going to be brought down to 1 from their Goblin Psychic, right? It's going to get silenced to 1, which means it's doing no damage. But what is it doing is it's causing affliction so that their Goblin Psychic can't heal, and it's actually doing poison, which is very important. Most of Dr. Blight's damage, all of it in fact, in the mirror, probably ends up being done by poison damage. So Dr. Blight ends up having that continuous 2 poison, and there's not really any cleanse that's available when you're playing in the mirror, so the poison can go all the way. Now, some of the other common strategies I've seen used when you're doing Wands Out with this kind of a setup is you see Mycelic Slip spawn. It'll oftentimes be in the back, and you can try and get fancy, and you can heal the Mycelic Slip spawn using Queen Mycelia for the triage, which is obviously a good tactic there. But then again, people are running 2 Afflicts main, right? You're running Dr. Blight and you're running Goblin Psychic. So you can only rely on that heal for a short period of time. Even Goblin Psychic's heal isn't going to go that far. One of the other big cards that you'll see being played a lot in this kind of a matchup is going to be the Regal Periton, mostly because of the fact that it's 3 damage, gets silenced down to 2 damage, meaning it can still deal 1, and it's got a nice fat body on it. So if they don't manage to land the Afflict, you'll be able to heal this guy up to a nice high hit point level here because of the 8 hit points. Just like Mycelic Slip Spawn has a nice fat body on him, so does the Regal Periton. So it gives you lots of time. It's a high timer for you before they die. Unless, of course, they get that lucky poison from Dr. Blight, which seems to activate like 1 out of 10 times for me and 10 out of 10 times for my opponent. I'm sure you guys feel that. All right, so that's kind of like some of the basic lineups that I see. You'll always end up seeing the Unholy Trio, which is basically, like I said, it's going to be Runemaster Flores. Where are you, Flores? Runemaster Flores over here, Dr. Blight, and the Goblin Psychic. So those 3 form like the core, with like the secondaries being sometimes Queen Mycelia and a little bit of the Mycelic Slip Spawn combo going in there, and Regal Periton. And you could play some other cards as well. Some of the other ones that I oftentimes think are going to be pretty good is, where is he? He's not showing up here. Okay, so he's epic. Is the Magi of Chaos. And the reason why I say Magi of Chaos is because if you're getting silenced and you're getting silenced by Goblin Psychic, he's got 4 attack, which brings him to 3 attack, which means he can do 2 damage. So he'll actually be able to do 2 damage through Void, which is actually a really good reason to have the Magi of Chaos on your team. Because the 4 attack becomes 3, 3 becomes 2 through Void, which is great. And we'll talk about kind of like a high mana counterpart for him when we get to the Rebellion phase. And then we've also got another little guy here through Chaos Legion. He's a rare. I'll sometimes also like to squeeze in where I see the Swayed Shaman. Because Swayed Shaman, he'll go ahead and he'll get silenced. I'll bring him down to 2. But once every 2 turns, he'll be able to go ahead and he'll be able to attack with his recharge, meaning that he'll be able to do 3 damage, which obviously through Void is really, really impactful. And if he happens to hit that Runemaster Flores, which has the 13 mana, he'll do double damage and he'll be able to smoke it right away, which is awesome. And if somehow they're able to go and play their Quora, then he's also great against Quora. And his Rust is pretty good too, because it will go ahead and it will let your Runemaster Flores deal its range damage right away without having to actually break the armor first, and then next turn do that range damage. So Swayed Shaman is also one of the guys that I see as kind of like the sometimes plays. If I were forming a team, I would probably use the Magi of Chaos over Swayed Shaman. I try and squeeze in the Swayed Shaman. I'd probably use Magi of Chaos over the Regal Periton as well, because like I said, silencing 4 to 3 deals 2 damage, but silencing 3 to 2 will only deal 1 damage. So that's kind of like the core before we start talking about Rebellion. Oftentimes the things I see in Wand out in this Immortalis mirror match that we're talking about. Now, there's a few cards though that have come out in Rebellion that have really kind of shaken things up. One in particular, like I was talking about, that's the All-Star, and it's probably not the card that you think. So this one here is kind of questionable. I'm not going to say it's like the best of the best, but it's one that I've been using with some success, and that's Lord Thalanor. And the reason why I say Lord Thalanor is just for the same reason I say the Magi of Chaos, and that's because he has 4 magic attack. Now this is going to become a little bit more relevant in a moment. And like I said, 4 becomes 3 under the silence of a Goblin Psychic. But if I had to choose, he's 12 mana, and if I had to choose between, do I use Lord Thalanor or do I use Runemaster Flores, it's obviously Runemaster Flores. You can only use the 2 of them in like the highest of mana matches. Besides, there's another high mana cost guy that's pretty much way better than, well, I'm not going to say better than the Flores because that's pretty important for you to actually, deal damage, but you've also now gotten Alara Genic, one of the new cards here from Rebellion, who has a 2nd silence for you and is neutral. Now that actually goes ahead, once you're under the effects of 2 silence and Void Armor, this almost reduces all attacks to 0 damage. There's one card that used to be pretty good that sometimes could get you out of things. Actually, under the effects of a silence, it won't really do that anyway. Let me just bring it up just so I can mention it at least. Where is he? He's Chaos Legion. Madcap Magus is something that could sometimes be used because it's got kind of like the scatter shot, so maybe it would let you take something out. But without the, but all it would really do is it would apply Afflict, right? Because it's dealing 0 damage, because the 2 becomes 1 from Goblin Psychic, but you're just hoping to afflict something. That's very relevant for what we're going to talk about next. But going back to Lord Thalanor over here, sorry, not Lord Thalanor, but he does come up in what we're gonna discuss here momentarily. Why is it not giving me the option? All right, here we go. Rebellion and Legendary. So going back to Alara Genic, the reason why Magi of Chaos and why Lord Thalanor become a little bit better now is because if you're under the effects of a double silence, right? Now Lord Thalanor goes from 4 damage to 3 damage to 2 damage, right? But 2 damage is still 1 damage through Void, right? And that's the same with Magi of Chaos. 4 to 3 to 2, but 2 damage is still 1 damage through Void. So it actually ends up making Lord Thalanor and Magi of Chaos a lot more valuable just based on the fact that they do 4 damage, which will still allow them to output 1 damage if your opponent's playing Alara Genic. And I gotta say, think a lot of people were sleeping on Nalargenic for such a long time. There were so many points in time when you could pick up Nalargenic for like sub 10, 9, $8 even. But it seems like a lot of people have kind of picked up on how good Genic is here, because you can see that the lowest one BCX is $16 as of today right now. It's February 10th, 2024. Who knows if that'll stand up, but I mean, I got my Nalargenics right away. Because I was like, this card's amazing. You might not need to go and get it all the way up to 4-star for the stun, but I'd certainly recommend at least getting it up to 3 stars so that if you're playing Wands out and you don't have access to Immortalis, you still got yet another Void card for your Armada, which is obviously fantastic. Like if you can choose Dragon and you can have, what's that dragon's name? He's super good. Let's find him. And you can have Void Dragon in the front, followed by Nalargenic behind him. Then you've got double Void. Or even if you're going ahead and you're going to be playing Jin O'Shaughnessy or something like that, let's just put Jin O'Shaughnessy on the screen. Where are you? Or if you're going to put Jin O'Shaughnessy in the front, you can put Nalargenic behind it, and then you're ending up with 2 characters that have Void again. So it's just fantastic to have characters with Void whenever there's Wands out. Because I mean that will reduce the damage by half even without Immortalis. So that obviously makes Nalargenic pretty much a must-have. And like I said, bring up to level 3 is what I consider pretty much the minimum if you're trying to play competitively in, I guess it would be gold and onward. You'd be able to use him at that level. So Nalargenic straight up all-star. So now we've talked about Lord Thalanos. We've talked about Nalargenic. What is this all-star card that I could have been referring to that came out with Rebellion that is so awesome, it's actually prompted me to make this video? What is the new all-star of Wands out? That card is, you're not going to believe this one, or maybe you will, maybe you know its power. That card is the Blackmoor Nymph. And you're probably sitting here thinking to yourself, Blackmoor Nymph, why would it be Blackmoor Nymph? And the reason is because of immunity. How many times during this video did I talk about, oh, well, you need to get the Afflict off, you need to get the Poison off, and the Afflict will stop the Goblin Psychic from healing, and you do the Poison, and the Poison does damage. Well, pretty much the only thing, if you're under the effects of 2 Silence, the only thing that's really going to be able to do damage to you at that point in time, I guess you've got Lord Thalanor, I guess you got Magi of Chaos, and then you've also only got the damage from Runemaster Flores. If any one of those things doesn't go right, your Blackmoor Nymph actually can't be beaten. If you can somehow take out the Runemaster Flores, you'll be healing more damage than even a combined attacks, which is only 1 at a time, of Goblin Psychic and Lord Thalanor. Or sorry, not Goblin Psychic, then Magi of Chaos and Lord Thalanor can even output, because it would take your 7, or in my case, I mean, my lowly body can only get her up to like a 6-star, right, for the two attack. But it would be able to heal all that damage. So you really only have to live in fear of Runemaster Flores because of the fact that can't be poisoned, can't be afflicted, will always be able to be healed. And in fact, since it's got immunity, I don't think it can even be silenced, if I'm not mistaken, meaning it will always be able to do 1 damage through their void. So you've got this permanent like wall that sits in front. The same reason why Quora is amazing, because of this immunity, and there's no way to really take it out. So barring the ability to use Quora, which even if you did go ahead and you were using Quora, unless it was specifically a gladiator combat with Wands out, you wouldn't be choosing the green reward card to be able to do it, because that wouldn't give the void armor, right? So you're probably going to be doing it with the combined effects of Immortalis anyway. So I don't have a match to show you because I just haven't had Wands out in so long, and I've been playing, and I don't have that match to show you. But I can tell you this, throughout my testing, if basically you're able to keep Blackmoor Nymph alive in the front ranks, which is pretty easy to do, provided it doesn't die to Runemaster Flores. So sometimes having that Mycelic Slip spawn to kind of like try and draw that damage for a while Blackmoor Nymph just kind of survives in the front. Fantastic card. Probably my new MVP for Wands out. Always one that I throw in the front ranks whenever I can, and it has not disappointed. And to be honest with you, I think a lot of other people might be trying to find that out too, because this card again went from being like 30 cents to 56 cents for a single BCX. So it makes sense that the Blackmoor Nymph here is one of the MVPs from Rebellion. And the more that I start playing the set, the more I'm finding these little hidden cards in there that work really good, maybe not all the time, but in certain like niche instances at least, like for instance, Wands out in the Immortalis Mirror. The fact that she's got a little bit of snare on her, I mean, hey, that's pretty good too, right? I'm not going to complain about some bonus snare. And it's only 3 mana. What an effective body at 3 mana for 7 hit points, 2 damage, having immunity, and having snare. Possibly for me, like I said, one of the new MVPs of Wands Out in the Immortalis mirror. So if you liked this video, give it a like, share, subscribe. Hope that we can do some more of these deck tech videos. But this is Wands Out, the Immortalis mirror. It is I, the Psy. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see y'all again soon. Take care, my friends. Till next time.